Okay, love that question. Appraisals are really critical to our business because we're using an appraisal in most cases to determine, or at least corroborate, our estimated value for that property. So in a previous video, I talked about loan to value, and I talked about loan to value being a ratio of the value that we've loaned over the value of that property. Now it's really important, that ratio is really important, but it's important you understand the value that we've loaned is a real number. We know the dollar amount that has been lent. The value of the property is an estimate. And so knowing how and vetting the appraisals is a really critical part of the underwriting process to get a really confident estimate for that value of the property. So at Hosper, first of all, Hosper, we select and we limit who appraises the property. So we confidently work with maybe 15 to 20 appraisers across Ontario, understanding that a different appraisal company is going to service an Ottawa market than would service a Niagara market. But the way appraisals work is consistent across the board, right? First of all, appraisers in Ontario have a certain accreditation. So not only do the appraisals we select have to be accredited, hundreds of which meet the accreditation standards, but we also have to have our own confidence in them based on their track record and their experience and how well we've worked with them in the past. So to talk about how appraisals work, I'll spend 2 minutes. The objective of an appraisal, essentially there's 3 ways that real estate appraisers use, or 3 approaches they use to estimate the value of a property. Replacement value, this is typically used, you can imagine this used for insurance scenarios. How much would it cost to replace this property if it broke down? Okay. The next one would be income approach. You could think of this one for, multi-unit properties, let's say a whole entire apartment building with 20 units. How much income does this asset generate, and therefore how much is it worth based on the income it generates? The third, and the one that is by far the most important to us, is the comparison approach. So how much is this property worth based on how much did similar properties sell for? And one thing about properties is there's no 2 properties that are exactly alike. So the objective of the appraiser is to find the most similar property that sold the most recently and use those as comparables. Even still, they're unlikely to find exact comparables that were sold exactly within the last 30, 60, or 90 days. So what the appraiser does is makes adjustments for the differences in those properties. So if one property has a bigger lot, then that's going to be adjusted down. If one of the comparables has an extra bedroom, that's going to be adjusted for. So all of the differences between the subject property and the comparable properties are adjusted for, and that leads us to an adjusted value and a strong estimate for what we think our subject property is worth.